John Hansen here from fantasypoints.com on the YouTube page and wherever you're checking this on the socials with a preseason vibe check. We're going to look at the AFC East here in this video. And why do I talk about vibes? Well, I've been doing this a long time. This is my 29th year as a fantasy football expert or analyst or whatever. My strength is kind of taking in all the information, all the stimuli, if you will, and kind of coming up with a really good vibe on the whole damn thing and each player in each situation. So I started about 20 years ago writing about the vibe, the overall vibe I was getting for the players, but also perhaps more importantly, the entirety of the team, the roster. Getting a vibe was and still is a nice little preview of things to come in many, many cases. So that's why I do the article. It is up for subscribers at fantasypoints.com. I constantly update it right up until week number 1. But let's get into the AFC East and what I've seen here as I've watched all the games. Definitely have some insight here. AFC East. We'll start with the Buffalo Bills. I think it's a pretty good vibe. Year 2 of Ken Dorsey. I mean, I still think there are some questions there. Their depth at receiver is quite thin. They do like Trent Sherfield there, so a pretty good vibe there. Not a great one for Khalil Shakir. Gabe Davis did have a couple drops in that third preseason game. It was a little shaky. Then again, Jalen Johnson made a good play on one of them, and he is a good corner who gets paid as well. Gabe did have a nice third down conversion from Josh Allen, so overall still a good vibe on Gabe. Man, he looked great in that second game. I am telling you right now, it was clear that that's the healthy Gabe Davis because we did not see that guy for much of the season. We saw week 1. We didn't see it after he got that high ankle sprain. In the backfield, I think the vibe is certainly good for James Cook. He's clearly in line for a lot of work, but I think the vibe has quickly gotten pretty darn good too on Damian Harris, who scored in the third preseason game. I don't think they're going to use James Cook much on top of the goal, and perhaps they want to start reducing a little bit of the contact that Josh Allen takes there in those situations, and Damian Harris is a pretty good sledgehammer there. So he could easily score 9-10 touchdowns this year. So decent vibe there. Not much on Dalton Kincaid. Still think he's a little overvalued, but if you're feeling frisky, he certainly has upside when he's being drafted. I think it's like 130 overall. In Miami, no Jonathan Taylor, so it's a little bit of a weird vibe for me because I'm still, and just like last year, not feeling it with this backfield. Devon Achane is going to be like a bit player, so they're really hard to handicap for fantasy. You could have that person. I'm not going to be drafting him, and I'm not going to even try it with Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. I mean, there's almost no vibe. I guess the vibe has to be good because Jonathan Taylor's not on this team. Still don't feel wonderful about Tua Tagovailoa. It's been somewhat uneventful summer, but, he's putting on muscle and added weight. I'm not sure that's what we're looking for here. Maybe it will help him withstand some of the hits that he takes, but he's still going to be taking those hits because he's just not processing all that well out there, I think. And his escapability could be a little limited. So a little sluggish back there. I'm just not into it. The offensive line's not wonderful. I'll still certainly take Tyreek Hill, of course, and Jalen Waddle. There's a vast wasteland for fantasy at tight end, by the way, in Miami. New England Patriots, can't say it's a bad vibe, but certainly can't say it's a good vibe. It's been quiet. They went a day without having a quarterback on the roster other than Mac Jones. They signed their guys, of course, not that into the tight ends, not really into the receivers either. Tyquan Thornton going to miss the first 4 games here. Kayshon Boutte is a guy to keep an eye on, though, for sure. The rookie out of LSU who had a little bit of an off-the-field deal there, but I chopped it up with him at the Combine. He was fine, so good for him. He made the team. I've said that he'll either get cut or break Terry Glenn's rookie reception record set back in the 90s there. And wide range of possible outcomes with that guy, but good so far so good. Again, not into the tight ends here. I've had a a sketchy vibe on Ramondre all year. It may be me. I was very high on him last year. He did wear down. That was worrisome to me. I know he was overexposed and it was just maybe a freaky injury, but Zeke Elliott is really good in short yardage and pass protection and things like that. So he could be a little bit of a thorn in Ramondre's side, but still solid vibe because they've thinned out the running back room as well, by the way, and we're looking at a nice path to 300 touches for Ramondre. So there's a lot to be said for that. And then last but not least, the Jets. Gang Green, I'm a little behind in my Hard Knocks viewing, but a little bit of a mixed bag because I kind of wrote, I think, maybe I did a video on it, when they signed Dalvin Cook. It kind of had a little too good to be true feel to me, a little bit of a luxury pick. You get all these names. It rarely works out. And I'm like, okay, well, where is the problem? Because inevitably there's going to be something here. They are the Jets, and it kind of does seem to be too good to be true. Well, that problem is on the O-line. It's been very unstable this preseason. It's a real concern. But, they are seemingly going in with Dwayne Brown and Mekhi Becton. We'll see how that works out. It could work out, or it could be a disaster. The other thing was the retirement of Corey Davis. That was a little surprising. That does leave them quite thin at receiver. We are looking at Mecole Hardman as a bit player, deep threat guy. Randall Cobb will be in the slot. Garrett Wilson's the clear one. Good vibe there, of course. I actually have a good vibe on Alan Lazard. I think he's very boring, but I think he's probably going to be arguably the second option in the passing attack for his guy, Aaron Rodgers, maybe 3A, third option with Randall Cobb. I also do have a good vibe on Tyler Conklin. I have all year. Haven't heard anything glowing. I see Jeremy Ruckert out there in the preseason as well, but the word is that he's clicking with Rodgers as expected. Then last but not least, Izzy Abanikanda did make the squad. I thought the people saying he was on shaky ground were going overboard. I mean, he's a pretty talented kid from Brooklyn. So good for him. He made the team. So now he'll get better. Michael Carter is going to be like the immediate handcuff. You would have to say to Breece Hall right now, and that's excluding Dalvin Cook because it's a little bit of a weird situation. If I took Breece Hall, which I'm totally willing to do, I've had a pretty good vibe all year. I might be inclined to grab Michael Carter real late just in case, but vibes are good on Breece Hall. I've talked to numerous people. Everyone says the vibes are pretty darn good, and the vibes are great at fantasypoints.com. Fantasy Points Data, the most powerful data analysis tool ever built by a fantasy football outlet. It's a beast. It's been launched. It has been received very well. You can get a free trial offer over at data.fantasypoints.com. Add it onto a regular subscription if you haven't drafted as of yet. Thanks for liking and subscribing. This has been, we'll call it another edition of Hansen's Hints here, a little preseason vibe check at fantasypoints.com, the AFC East. We'll catch you next time.